We're Hassani and Danielle Pettiford, and we're a real couple with real problems who almost called it quits.
I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold.
We have 4 children, going on 20 years of marriage, and we practice what we preach.
Our mission, to change the way couples relate to one another and teach them the skills needed to improve the quality of their relationships. This is the Couples Academy Show.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Couples Academy Show. My name is Hassani.
And I'm Danielle.
Do you recognize her? Danielle Pettiford, right? This is my wife. And,
hey y'all.
And I'm excited to have her on the show this morning. Listen, the reason why we're here with this background is because we're live on set at the Last Chance weekend. We're prepping. We start in about 90 minutes, but we could not, start our day without connecting with you. So today is relationship questions, right? It's Ask the Experts. It's Q&A. Okay. So we want you to post your questions. We want you to not wait till the end of the show. I don't know why you all do that.
Hey, Sandy.
Post your question now so that we can address it. But in the meantime, let me just give you a quick announcement of what we have going on. Foundry, the Foundry experience is completely sold out. Sorry for those of you who did not register.
There's always next time. And you can pre-register for next time.
Absolutely. So make sure you get ready for that. Other than that, what we're going to do while you're getting your questions together, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. So stay there, stay tuned. And on the other side of this, Danielle and I will pour into you with some wisdom. All right, be right back.
Welcome to the Couples Academy app. The Couples Academy app is your go-to hub for how to do marriage right. Get started with our app today by perusing our amazing features that conveniently allow you to connect. This app is packed with powerful content and resources to help you grow and stay connected. With this app, you can watch our messages, find marriage resources, watch, listen, and read the real-life stories of restored couples, sign up for events, read articles and blog posts, stay up to date with push notifications, share your favorite messages via Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or email, and download messages for offline listening. For more information about the Couples Academy app, go to couplesacademy.org.
Welcome back, guys. You're watching the Couples Academy Show, and we're going to jump right to Tiffany. And she has a question. She says, have you all ever experienced counseling and felt that a separation or divorce was the best option for the couple?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yes.
There are times and scenarios where that's the case. But here's the thing. Most people, as a knee-jerk reaction when they face stress, pressure in the relationship, their first step is divorce. And so oftentimes I'll ask the question, well, what else have you done? Mm-hmm. Have you gone to counseling? Have you done a seminar? Have you read a book? Have you taken a class? Have you listened to a sermon? Have you talked to anybody? Have you done anything? And oftentimes the answer is no. So we would highly not recommend that you just divorce. Now, in situations where you have gone through a process with a counselor, then my question is, well, who did you go to? Because so many people who are seeking out marriage counseling go to the wrong ones looking for the right advice. So they're going to social workers.
Right.
They're going to psychologists.
Their pastor.
They're going to their pastor.
Right.
Not to
a
say
friend.
Yeah.
Yes.
And let's talk about the pastor piece for a second, because I've been a pastor, right? I know a lot of pastors, and a lot of them are not qualified to tell you anything because their marriage is a wreck. And so the question is, or the statement is, you should find somebody who has experience guiding couples through a process, and they bear the fruit in their own relationship.
Absolutely. And I would add to that, there are domestic situations that require separation. If there is child abuse or any kind of abuse going on in the marriage, then we will suggest a separation. And then there are other situations where we will say, you know what, a controlled separation might be a great option for you. And that would be where you are under the guidance of a counselor to support you in that separation and go through certain practices with the intention to reconcile. I think most of the time people are racing to divorce because of self-centeredness, right? And what I mean by that is that you're still entrenched in your perspective on things, and you haven't learned how to unpack all of that and work out your marriage. And so a lot of it is really personal development, working on yourself so that you can come together to be a stronger pair. So, I mean, yes, there are cases where we do recommend separation, but a lot of times there's still work to do.
Absolutely. And when it's a separation, it's a controlled separation, which is completely different than a normal traditional separation. And if you don't know the difference, you can go on our YouTube channel. We've spoken about it at length, but we actually have videos that walk you through the steps of what that process looks like.
So here's a question from Michelle Nelson. She says, I have been dating a 60-year-old man. I'm 56. We are inseparable, both divorced, talked about having everything engaged talked about everything engaged couple talk about because we are dating. Y'all help us out with these messages, right? You're asking us, are dating with intention to be married moving too fast?
Okay, how long have they been dating?
You said you've been dating
for how long?
It doesn't really say how long. A long time.
So go ahead, Daniel, and I'll jump in.
Rewrite the question.
Yeah. So they've been dating a long time?
Yeah, it says they've been dating a long time. She's 60. He's a 60-year-old man. She's 56. They're inseparable, both divorced, talked about getting married, it sounds like, and something about they're moving too fast. I think she reposted it. I'm not sure. So I don't know what you want to add to that.
Just click off of that. So number one, when it comes to people who are 50 plus, 40 plus, a lot of times they feel like time is not on their hands. I don't have time. Let's just figure out a bunch of basic points. Do you love God? I love God. Do you have your own place? I have my own place.
Michelle said 2 months they've been dating.
Oh,
okay. Thank you. That helps.
And this is my point.
Okay.
This is exactly my point. Once you get to a certain age, you race through the process because you feel like, okay, well, we have things in common, so let's go ahead and get married. And what happens is you wind up in crisis after you say I do because you didn't take the time to really get to know a person. There are 4 seasons to a successful relationship. Season number 1 is the dating season. Season number 2 is committed courtship. Season number 3 is engagement. Season number 4 is marriage. Now, season number 1, the dating season, that's the selection process, right? That's when you're really taking the time to see who you think would be a good fit. Then courtship happens. That is the getting to know you phase. Engagement is a season of preparation for what? Marriage. And marriage is the final frontier. So think about it. In this earth, in life, we have generally 4 seasons that make up a year: summer, winter, spring, fall. All 4 seasons complete a full year. So we suggest that at a minimum, that you be together at least a year before even entertaining the conversation of marriage, because you don't know what you're getting into. I need to see who you are when you face pressure. I need to see how you interact with your family and your friends. I need to see, there's things I want to experience with you before I make the decision to say I do. So yeah, I would push it on pause, take more time. And also, many people who are adults living in their own space, they have their own ways of living. They have their own habits, their own tendencies, idiosyncrasies. And then when you're merging lives and coming into one household, I don't do things like that. So there's all types of crises. There's things you need to talk through.
Agreed. I'm going to jump to this question here by Cool the Lover. Can you speak about mental disorders and the effect they can have on a marriage, like borderline personality disorder?
I think what we're going to do is dedicate a show to that, because for Danielle to give you a quick 2-minute answer, it's not going to serve you or really take the time to unpack that particular issue. We could do a series on that.
Right.
So just know we're going to do
that. The other
that.
thing is we can't speak about it clinically. You know, we can speak about our experience with the couples that we've served and what that had, the impact that it has had on the relationship, but we can't speak about that clinically. And we recommend that you find a therapist that can support you in that area. The next question is from Rodney. My wife told me about infidelity that happened nearly 15 years ago. However, she came clean about it just last year. We're currently separated and she wants to reconcile, but I'm struggling with trust.
Right.
Obviously, you know,
Right.
I mean, it's like ripping the wound wide open. You just found out. And it's going to take some time. You're going to have to get busy doing the work. What I would not want to see is that you sit in this, you know, for months to years, ruminating on the hurt and the pain and not getting the support that you need right away to begin to rebuild that trust, which is a process.
And that's the point. You need support, and you can't do it on your own.
Right.
And people who have attempted to do that have made situations worse. So having a third party there that can guide you through the process. Let me just say this. There was a couple who did a private marriage intensive with us. They've been watching us for several months. And they said, you know what? We watched the videos. We have their book. Let's go away for a weekend. Let's rent out a cabin and let's go through the recovery process. And they were able to make some traction. They were able to get some things done. But they realized that there were other steps missing. There were other pieces that they were struggling with. And once they came to an actual private marriage intensive and went through the experience that we talk about, they were like, oh, not only did we miss steps, we were doing steps out of order. And if you do steps out of the proper order, you're not going to get the results that you're looking for. So make sure you find somebody who's skilled and competent to guide you through an affair recovery process.
Here's a really good one from Don Juan saying, suggestion, my wife tends to put work, social media, and her family before me, the husband. We clash when I express my feelings about the way she dresses, somewhat revealing, and wanting quality time. It makes you wonder, what are the intentions, you know, to get dressed up and go out? I think the social media has really made a tremendous impact on marriages for the negative, for the worse. We are out there looking and seeing what other people are doing, and we're turning all of our affections and attention away from our spouse. And it just takes up a lot of busy time. And so I really recommend that you definitely find some support and get some counseling. It sounds like there's some issues going on between you that you're not able to communicate and talk about these issues. She's not hearing you. It sounds like her intentions and her passions are outwardly, right? It's about what she looks like. It's about what's going on in social media. She doesn't want to talk to you. She doesn't want to spend time with the family. So there's definitely some red flags that I would look into.
As a married man, I would feel some type of way if my wife was dressing all sexy and tight and revealing, and she going out.
Not for you.
Right. She going out. And I'm like, where are you going? What's all of this? You know what I'm saying? Like, if she going to do that, she going to do that for me and with me. But if she's doing that outside of me, if she's posting social media pictures, because listen, most of these women out here dressed like that, they're single. They're trying to draw and attract. So if she already has somebody in her life, who's she doing it for? Right. So I think it's a legitimate concern that needs to be discussed.
I do. Like I said, it definitely needs to be expressed. But I will say this. I mean, one person's scantily clad dressing is not the same as others. Culture plays a part in that, right? I think the biggest issue is her lack of concern about how you feel about it, because sometimes women just like to get dressed up to look amazing. They want to feel good. They like the way they look. And it's really a lot of times simply that. But because of the lack of communication, because she is spending all of her attention on social media, because she doesn't want to spend time with the family, those are the things that are red flags. I don't want everybody thinking, oh, because my wife got dressed up sexy to go hang out with her girlfriends.
Well, you dress up and you look good no matter where you go, no matter who you're with. Right.
Yes.
But dressing up and looking good and dressing up and looking sexy,
and that's why I said
are two different things.
That's why I said, like, one person's sexy is another person's
and
norm.
Guess what?
Culturally, there are differences.
The husband should be able to weigh in on that. Like,
absolutely.
And so should the wife. If you dress some type of way and she's just like, what in the world? Like, at the end of the day, you represent your spouse, whether you're with them or whether you're not.
Absolutely.
And you don't want undue attention because you just dress up a certain type of way and you're too revealing.
So you asked for a suggestion. My suggestion is to call Couples Academy and get into some counseling to see if you can talk this out. with mediation and see what is at the root of it. You might find that it's a big problem, or it could be just, hey, I like to look sexy and you don't, it could be a lot of things. Maybe she feels
And
under
are you
acknowledged.
complimenting her? Are you taking the
I was just
time
going
to do
there,
that?
like, oh, I didn't know I had my readers on. I was just going to say, it could be she's trying to get attention because she feels a lack of attention. This doesn't make it right or wrong. This just means that these are symptoms of something that's going on, and it needs to be looked into.
Absolutely.
Do you want to go to a break?
Yeah, let's go to a quick break. You're watching the Couples Academy show. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Couples Academy is committed to serving couples around the world by reaching beyond cultural lines and language barriers. We are proud to announce that we now serve the Spanish-speaking community. So whether you're here in the United States or abroad, Couples Academy has a place for you.
Couples Academy se compromete a servir parejas de todo el mundo, superando las fronteras culturales y las barreras del idioma. Ahora, estamos orgullosos de anunciar que servimos a la comunidad de habla hispana. Entonces, ya sea que estés aquí en los Estados Unidos o en el extranjero, Couples Academy está aquí para servirle.
Hey guys, you're watching the Couples Academy show. This is Friday. It's Ask the Experts. I enjoy doing what I do. I really do. Whether I'm doing it alone, whether I'm doing it with the other practitioners, but nothing compares to when I have my wife sitting right next to me.
Thank you, boo.
So it's good to have you here.
I'll be back January 2023.
All right, you done heard her. We're gonna see. All right, let's get to the next question.
All right, next question is, good morning. Been asking questions all week, and thanks for all the advice. Me and my wife are separated, and now I had an affair on my wife. We are both in counseling, but my wife can't let go of the past. Any advice?
Yes. So here's the deal. As the unfaithful partner, you want to move forward. As the betrayed partner, you want to move forward. Both of you want to move forward. But the reality is you probably are traveling at a much faster pace than she is. You were involved in it. You just want to put it behind you. You don't want to think about it. You just want to move forward. She wants to as well, but she's trapped in the memory of the past. She's probably reliving it again and again and again. And it takes time. And what happens is, as the unfaithful partner, sometimes we try to control their spouse's recovery process. Now, I do believe that if you grieve the correct way, and if you go through the recovery process the correct way, you can get out of that stuck place. Some people prolong it. Some people race out of it too quickly because they just don't want to deal with it, and they're carrying the residue of what happened, and it'll just come out in other ways. And so I want to encourage you to be patient, knowing that this is a process. So if you're going through the proper steps, you will get out of it. But have you really unpacked full disclosure? Have you gone through that process with your counselor? Once again, I'm glad that you're working with a counselor, but is your counselor someone who's skilled in affair recovery? And what are the specific steps that they're taking? If they're taking the correct steps and you both are in, you both will win. In terms of the recovery process, it's been stated that it takes upwards of 2 years for a person to heal. That is if they're doing the work consistently. If they are not, then it could take much longer. And the reason why we do a last chance weekend or a private marriage intensive is because these 3 days are equivalent to 8 months of counseling. So you can collapse time. So what it would take a person months to get through, when they come here, they're able to get through it a lot faster because of the process that we go through. So once again, the process will help to dictate how long she remains stuck in that past.
Perfect. JR has a question. How important is it for a married couple, to meet each other's friends of the same sex, circle of influence? Uber important. let me just say this, that I have yet to meet friends that are the same, opposite sex. So
Is it opposite sex or same sex?
Opposite sex friends, right?
Oh, I thought it was same sex.
Oh, same sex. Okay, I was gonna say same opposite sex is a whole thing. Okay, same sex friends it's the same. I mean, it's really the same, especially in this day and age, honestly. Because you want to know who. I'm gonna tell you this: you are the sum culmination of the closest friends to you. So who they are is who your spouse is. So you do want to know who they are, and I think oftentimes when our spouses are hiding from us who these friends are, that when they're hiding who these friends are from you, there's a reason for it. There's some issues or idiosyncrasies about these friends that they don't want you to know about, right? For example, if my husband is hanging around friends that are unfaithful in their marriages, he's not going to want me to know about those people and meet those people. He's not going to want me to hear some of the conversations that they're having. And so there's oftentimes a reason, if there's a struggle to get to know your spouse's same-sex friends, why they want to keep you at a distance. There's something about them that they know that you would not approve of, and they want to keep that at a distance.
Absolutely. And most times, if there's an issue with a same-sex friend that a spouse has, they already know what the deal is. They know who they are, what their reputation is. They know how they get down, and they don't want you engaging in those same behaviors and activities. So they're very cautious of it, because birds of a feather flock together, and you become a product of your environment. So I think every single relationship outside of your primary relationship needs to be discussed and evaluated.
Absolutely. Tiffany has a question. She says, my husband scared away all of his good, godly male friends. So now he has no one to turn to. What's your take on that, Hassani, with the Foundry?
My take on that is that birds of a feather flock together. So if he's in a godly environment of men, Lord, and for whatever reason, he's not getting connection and nourishment, and he has no interest in being in that environment, then he's not vibing with them. There's things in him that are retracting him from those type of men. So it speaks to what needs to take place in him, his own spiritual growth and development, to become the best version of himself.
And I've seen this happen. I mean, even in, personal circles, sometimes when someone's just going through, right? They have a godly circle of friends and influence, and they're depressed, or they're dealing with their own issues and they don't know how to rise up out of it, they will start to fade to black. You won't see them as much. They won't return your phone calls and things of that nature. And they're just going through something. So oftentimes it's that, and that person might need some support, some counseling. Somebody needs to talk to him or her and see what is the issue, what's actually going on with you. Because it's not necessarily about those godly friends. It's really about how he's feeling about himself and the struggles that he's having within.
When you're in the dark and you turn on the lights can be blinding, right? It can be very uncomfortable. And so when you're operating in darkness, sometimes you don't want to be exposed, because the light will expose you. And it's not about godly people judging you and pointing out your flaws. I had a friend in my life that was big on nutrition, right? And so every time I went out to dinner with him, I just felt convicted. Now, he didn't say nothing to me.
Oh my God.
He didn't look over at my plate. He wasn't judging me. I felt my own judgment. I'm like, here I am ordering.
And you would just tell on yourself, and you started confessing. You started saying, I know this is a terrible plate. This guy's minding his business, eating his plate of veggies.
I got chicken and
you're just like, man, I know
this
is my last plate. This is my. And he's like, I didn't ask you about the last plate. It's the same thing with cussing. We don't swear, we don't use curse words, but I've noticed that because I don't, people will apologize to me when they do. I didn't ask you to apologize or excuse yourself. Those are the choices that you've made, right? But it's true that the light shines bright, and sometimes it's like this, and you got to either get away from it or you will acclimate to it, as an example.
Yeah.
But Tiffany goes on to say that he won't go to counseling. So I just want to address that. And sometimes, Tiffany, it's this battle called marriage is a solo journey for a while. And so if you know that there's a lot of things that you mentioned on this group today. And if it seems like he won't go to counseling, he's cut off all his godly friends, it's time for you to step into your warrior position as a wife. Start praying, bring books in, start reading and learning as much as you can. I mean, it's time for you to become an investigator. What can I do to support him? What are his needs? Understand him, learn him. Hassani always used to talk about the book of Danielle, and he would study me when we were on the outs, and I didn't want nothing to do with Hassani. and he was determined to find a way in and to break through. He started reading books, listening to tapes, and getting every bit of information and knowledge that he needed to find a crack. And sometimes you just need to find a crack into the spirit of your husband that will open him up to just maybe curiosity. And that is huge. If you could just get him curious about the potential of change and the potential of more, then that's taking you a lot further than you are now.
There it is. Nothing to say to that.
Yeah. So we have another part 2 question. I don't remember what part 1 was, but should I just go to part 2 question?
Yeah.
Okay. So half my partner still hangs and talks with the same people and helped in the affair and gets upset when I feel triggered around them and blames me for not letting it go. How do I get through to her? My partner still hangs and talks with the same people and helped in the affair. So that helped in the affair, and gets upset when I feel triggered around them and blames me for not letting it go.
Yeah,
How do I
get
get
it.
through it to her?
That's a huge problem.
That's a
because
big problem.
Those friends, those associates were a part of the affair. And every time you see them, yes, you feel triggered. And so this is often a big issue that couples come into our sessions with. And we have to help the spouse understand that anything that's associated with the affair has to go. You have to establish a brand new relationship with it, because all you're doing is bringing more pain into the relationship, though you want to move forward. Like at the end of the day, guys, listen, most of us want our spouses to stay once we've been unfaithful. But the question is, what are they signing up for? More of the same? So convince me why I should stay in this marriage if nothing's going to change. If you're going to continue to have the same relationships you've had, engage in the same habits you've had, have the same communication problems that you had, I don't want that. So if you want me in, then you're committing to a new life, a new way, a new agenda. And so sometimes you have to let things go, disconnect, reevaluate relationships, and move forward. Otherwise, what are we doing? Like we say this all the time. A man once said in our men's group, our wives aren't looking for a reason to leave. We've given them plenty of reasons to leave. They're looking for a reason to stay. So here you are, refusing to go to counseling or struggling with it. You're holding on to your same friends, engaged in your same activities, but you wanted to stay. What does she get out of that? What benefit does she receive by staying with someone who's acting and operating in the same way that they did when the crisis hit the marriage? Doesn't make any sense.
I agree 100%. Sila.
Let's go.
Do we have time for another question?
We got time for
Okay.
one more question.
Here's a good one. How do I express to my husband that our marriage is lacking, needs a spiritual connection and foundation?
Talk to him. Have you had a conversation with him? What I would do is I would probably create a safe environment, sit him down, no distractions, no TV, no internet, no social media, and have a heart-to-heart conversation. One of the tactics that you could use is write it out in a letter and read the letter to him. There's a level of seriousness. There's a level of, wow, this must be something important when you come in that way, which is atypical from the way that you normally would come. And he may be able to receive it a lot differently. And then from that point, you can figure out what to do to restore the relationship.
And also, I would just add, be the change you want to see in your marriage, right? There's nothing worse than somebody, and I'm not saying that you're doing this, so I just want to be clear about that. But, oftentimes we're saying, I need you to be more of a spiritual leader. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. And we're not that, right? We're not exemplifying that. So be the example, go in, go hard in the paint on your spirituality, show and develop some fruit so that it can be observed and seen. Because as we just said, when you start shining a light within, it's either attractive or repellent, either way. And we would hope that as a spouse, it would attract him.
So guys, I hope that was helpful. That's our 30 minutes today. Hope you have an amazing weekend. For those who are watching on the replay, make sure you sit down with your spouse and listen together, learn together, talk together to figure out how to get over these particular situations. But until then, listen, Last Chance Weekend starts in an hour. We want your prayers, your positive vibes, your good energy, and we will give you a recap on Monday on how the weekend went. But until then, have a great weekend, and we'll see you then.
Bye.